Hello, this is George Hutton, and you are listening to the Mind Persuasion Podcast. Today we continue our study of weaponized hypnosis. For more information, please visit mindpersuasion.com/weaponized-hypnosis. Today we'll be talking about digging beneath the surface. Quite often, all you'll need to do is just ask a few simple questions that get him to justify their intentions. Structurally, this is very much like the stereotypical schoolyard bully. He is powerful only when people let him be. All it takes is one person to fight back, and usually this only requires one well-deserved punch, and he is a bully no longer. When you ask for clarification when anybody comes at you with a might makes right strategy, no matter how subtle, it will have the same effect. However, always keep in mind that your underlying energy must be as neutral as possible. If you are trying to push back, which will come across as your own might makes right counterattack, while pretending to be neutral, it will be much less effective. This will elicit from them the same behavior. They will respond to your words, but since your energy is not neutral, they will dig into their might makes right strategy. But once you have mastered the art of maintaining neutrality by practicing the side-gazing exercise, the words are usually quite simple. What do you mean? This simple question can be devastating when said with absolutely neutral energy. Their whole strategy is to make a suggestion with emotional force. This is subconscious, but the strategy is for the emotional force to do the convincing. By ignoring the emotional force by being neutral and focusing on the surface structure language, they will be forced to offer up an explanation. The more neutral you are, the more they will realize that their energy isn't enough, and they might have to use actual logic or other rational explanations. Let's look at some simple examples. Restaurant choice. Let's assume you and a colleague or even a friend are discussing where to eat for lunch. They are eager to eat Chinese food and you would like not to. You don't really have a reason. You never need a reason for your subjective desires. But they are adamant about eating Chinese food. They stick your head in your office and say, "Hungry?" they ask, perhaps already having made up their mind. "Yes," you reply. "Let's get Chinese food," they say with eager enthusiasm. They are smiling, they are excited, but they are also using the might makes right strategy since they are assuming the strength of their desire will be enough to convince you. You could say, "I don't really feel like Chinese food," but you suspect that if you say that, and they ask why not with the same level of energy, you won't have an answer. Instead, look to the side, neutralize your emotions, and then look back at them. "What do you mean?" you ask. This will send their mind into a quick loop. They'll wonder why you are asking such a silly question. They were assuming that you would just go along with them. They spend a few seconds and maybe come back with the same suggestion, only this time their enthusiasm is mixed with a little confusion. "Lunch, Chinese food," they repeat, a little less sure. Again, you quickly look to the side and neutralize your emotions. "Why Chinese food?" you ask as plainly as you can. They will not be sure what to say. They will maybe ask what's wrong with you or why you are acting so silly, but remember, they came to you. They imposed their idea on you, and while you wouldn't mind going to lunch with them, you wouldn't want to go if you are going to get Chinese food. "It's good," they reply, less enthusiastic and more confused. At this point, there are a lot of things you can say. Always remember the main goal, to get them to back off for their own reasons, off their might makes right strategy. This isn't to overrule them with your idea or to get them to acknowledge your skills. If they want to continue the conversation, that's up to them. From your perspective, you are content to eat lunch on your own and you weren't planning on going over to their office and asking them. This isn't a negotiation tactic or a clever way of getting them to go along with your idea. In this example, you are only getting them to back off without using any might makes right energy of your own. At this point, they might offer an alternative or ask what your preference is. In this example, both are acceptable. But if they are still standing there staring at you, what then? Just repeat the same question. "What do you mean?" you ask calmly. Now they are in a position where you are calmly asking them to explain why they think Chinese food is good or what they mean when they say that Chinese food is good. But at this point, they will have realized that their initial enthusiasm was not enough to convince you. But what if they get angry? "Dude, what the F is wrong with you?" they may ask, slightly perturbed. Use the same response. Look to the side, briefly neutralize yourself, and repeat the question. What do you mean? Listening to this may seem silly. You might imagine that anybody who tried this would think you insane and publicly ridicule you or never want to talk to you again. But remember our discussion about incomplete maps. Their idea to eat Chinese food was a spur-of-the-moment decision. Few people ever think about why they like certain food, nor do people ever expect to need any extensive discussions to convince their friends to go along with them. And when you ask these simple questions from a pure frame of neutrality, they really won't know what to say. Many of us have beliefs and we just assume these beliefs are self-evident. We think Chinese food is good. We expect most normal people to feel the same way. We never expect anybody to ask us why we feel that way. What we do expect is for people to have opposite tastes, and in those cases, we imagine having a might makes right battle over who can best present their case of food choice. What we don't expect is for somebody to calmly and honestly ask us why we feel the way we do and actually expect us to give a rational answer. The whole purpose of a neutrally asked, "What do you mean?" is not to demonstrate intellectual or moral superiority. It is only to get them to back off their might makes right strategy. Certainly, if you have your own might makes right food choice and you enjoy having might makes right food choice battles, as most of us do, that's perfectly fine. The neutralizing "what do you mean" question is only for those times when you don't feel like having a might makes right battle and you don't want to give in to their choices either. It's also a great way to practice. Asking simple questions from a purely neutral perspective is an extremely useful strategy that will quickly take the wind out of the sails of your enemies, no matter how strong or belligerent their arguments are. Practice. Try this strategy out whenever you can. Don't overdo it, or your friends will stop being your friends. Part of the reason for having friends is we humans genuinely enjoy these might makes right battles. But practicing this technique once in a while will train your mind that there are other options. It's much easier to practice on your friends than it is to try this technique for the first time when somebody's actually trying to get you to do something that you really don't want to even talk about. We'll discuss those cases in detail later, but for now, try to look for one of these opportunities once a day. You don't need to carry it very far, especially with your friends. Just a few "what do you mean" questions asked from a neutral stance is enough. I'm George Hutton. Thank you for listening to the Mind Persuasion Podcast. For more information, please visit mindpersuasion.com/weaponized-hypnosis. I look forward to speaking with you again soon.